Hey guys, so as most Battlefront fans, you guys were probably once upon a time really looking forward to Star Wars Battlefront 3, which was going to have elements of space to ground combat and all kinds of cool stuff, but of course that did not materialize. However, there was a game studio that was trying to bring back the general idea of it in a Star Wars form. That was killed off by EA and Lucasfilm, but now that has evolved into a different project. That project is called Galaxy in Turmoil, and they recently showed some alpha gameplay of it. So we thought it would be interesting to talk about this, because on a couple different levels, this is kind of interesting. Now, Swanee, they set it up as a free-to-play game. It's supposed to have very massive online battles, just like Battlefront, but integrate these different elements that people have asked for from this game. Of course, it won't be Star Wars, because they don't have the rights to that. But does this game interest you in any way, if they can actually pull it off and do something we've kind of been hoping they would do in Star Wars? Or just the fact that it's not Star Wars kind of makes it not that big a deal to you?
I mean, I like the aspect and the direction that they're going in, because the original Battlefront 3 was going to have like a kind of a different feel to it. Like, I had like some ground to space aspects, and it had like a bunch of different flying, and it just was a completely different game from Battlefront 2, like the original Battlefront 2. And then when that game failed, this company, like this group of volunteers, tried to like basically mod their own version. And you could like do ground to space battles, and you could fly around, and you could get out of your vehicles, and you could have heroes, and it looked amazing. But then unfortunately, of course, Lucasfilm and EA have to come in and say, no, 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 we own Star Wars. We don't want you to make a cool game. So, but I mean, they basically just stripped.
You would have thought they could have worked together there or something. But,
yeah,
you know,
but they stripped Star Wars
that's a different story.
From everything that they had, and they sort of. They have the same concept, like you can fly the ships around, and it's still epic battles, and everything's there from like what we wanted from a Battlefront 3. It just has a different skin on it. It's just not Star Wars because of licensings and copyright and all that crap. So I mean, it kind of sucks that it's not going to be Star Wars. Like, you can't play as like Darth Vader and stuff. But I mean, it's made by a bunch of volunteers. They obviously want to see this game thrive, and they want people to play it. It's going to have 32 versus 32. So I'm down. Yeah, I'll give it a shot, especially if it's. I mean, I'd like to see and play what Battlefront 3 could have been. I think it'll be cool.
I believe, at least at this point, it's only going to be on PC. I guess if it blew up or something, we could see it jump to console and stuff like that. Or at least I think it's only PC, like through Steam and stuff. I think it's kind of neat that there's going to be a game with the spirit of Battlefront. Obviously, if it's not Star Wars, that takes away so much, because that's one of the big appeals, obviously, of Star Wars Battlefront, is the fact of it being Star Wars. But I think as a free-to-play game on the side, it's nice to see something trying to be in the same vein as what we really loved about Star Wars Battlefront, and maybe give us a hint of the game we kind of wish we would have. Also, if we want to even jump it even further, if a game like this actually did have success in the small ranks and as an indie game, and actually had more success than expected, would that potentially maybe lead to, I hate to give EA any hope of ever learning from their mistakes, but maybe they would look at that and say, hey, maybe we should make this game more, or maybe the next Battlefront, more like this. Maybe this is the way we should make these games. I would think that would be obvious to them right now, but any chance that that could possibly happen? Is that a hope super grasping at straws?
I mean, it's hard to tell with EA. I mean, they've been told for years from people what we want from a Star Wars game, and they time and time again they just say, screw off, we're going to make the Star Wars game we want, and I mean, it's not going so well for them. I mean, we still don't know what these other games are going to be, like Respawn and Motive's Star Wars games, but I mean, they could be something similar like this. I mean, it's not going to be Battlefront 3. It's going to be their version of a game, and if it has online multiplayer, maybe it could have something like this.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. I mean, from what we've heard, it sounds like both of them are some sort of. Definitely the motive one sounds more like an RPG elements of game. I'm not really sure so much about respawns, but it does sound more single player based, or at least more based on the idea of the campaign. And of course, it's not confirmed that they're making a Battlefront 3, as far as I'm aware. So I mean, that it may never happen at all. But if they do go that route of making another Battlefront 3, it would make perfect sense for them to introduce this element, because when Battlefront 3 was originally announced and everybody was really hyped for the idea of going from space to ground, and there was the footage of going from space to ground, there was a lot of excitement around that. You would think this would be the perfect opportunity for EA to say, hey, we're going to bring that game back, the game you never got to have. The Battlefront 3 that never got to exist now gets to exist in EA's Battlefront 3. Of course, it'll be like 15 years later or 13 years later than expected, but you would think that would be a perfect PR, perfect marketing, because we still don't have a game like that. We still don't have games that allow you to jump all over gigantic battlefields to that extent, but we're pretty close. I mean, we're seeing games continually extending their maps. We see even a game like Fortnite that has a ton of players in one spot. You know, we're getting closer and closer to this kind of thing. It'd be a great opportunity for Star Wars and EA to be the ones to really jump to that element of massive online multiplayer, really, for the first time.
Well, if they would just take
it make perfect sense
the
to me.
feel of Battlefield and like transfer it over to Battlefront, like imagine that size of a map with that many players, because I think Battlefield has, what's it, 32 versus 32? Or just 30 versus 30. It's something like that. It's in the 30s. So like around 30 players each team on a massive map with tons of vehicles and stuff. I mean, I think that's the way to go compared to what they have. Like they just have the linear setup where you have to slowly progress through the map in the 20v20. Like I want to see all out epic Battlefield but brought over in Battlefront, and it doesn't even have to be ground to space. They can have like Star Destroyers just in the sky, and then you can like fly from the ground up to the sky and battle in the sky with the Star Destroyers and stuff. Like going clear to space is a bit much. I could see how, because there's a lot of space in between outer space and the ground. So I mean,
well, even if you don't go quite to outer space, it would be nice to have like a legit air battle going on at the same time. Not like the crappy air battles that go on in the current Battlefront 2, but like you legitimately have two battles going on at the same time. Yeah, I don't know if they'll really take it all the way to space. More for the idea of it would just take forever to get there if it was at all realistic, you know. So I mean, but even so, I still think it would be really cool to see that being done to some extent. I don't know exactly how they could implement it the best possible way, but we should be getting really close to that. And a company like EA and a company like DICE, they should have the resources available to make something epic. The problem is we're currently looking at the way Star Wars Battlefront is, and it looks painfully obvious that they either don't have the resources or they just don't care enough. I don't know what is going on with the current game, but it gives you little hope for future games because it just doesn't seem. I don't know what's going on another level. They should be able to do things, but that's also what's interesting about this game, the Galaxy in Turmoil, is they don't have to go through all the AAA regulations, which I'm guessing is one of the major issues EA and DICE and everything have going on, is they have so many regulations. Like I saw someone comment about the Galaxy in Turmoil game saying, you know, this might turn out better just because they don't have to deal with all the other crap. And they don't have to deal with the Star Wars name and having to go through all the hoops that you have to go through with the Star Wars name. They really have freedom to do as they want with this game.
Yeah.
So, you know, to an extent, it could turn out better too, I guess, from that point of view.
I mean, you don't have the iconic heroes, which Battlefront has and Star Wars has, but I mean, they could put their own sort of twist on it. You could just be like a super unit or something. But I mean, it is nice to see that there's so many fans that are dedicated. Like, look at the people that are redoing Republic Commando. They've been working on that for years. They're trying to redo it in the Unreal Engine 3 or 4, but they're trying to upgrade the graphics, and I think they're trying to add whole new missions. So people have been working on that for forever. Like hardcore Star Wars fans are a force to be reckoned with. Like they put in the time and the effort, and they really care about these games. And it's a shame that, I mean, EA's had the license for years now, and they've only had 2 Star Wars games, and they canceled the other Star Wars game. Like they should be pooping out Star Wars games every year, just alternating between franchises.
At least one a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least one a year should be a given. I mean, they can. I mean, you look at something like Call of Duty can release a game every year. You would think EA could, especially with their massive amount of studios, release a different Star Wars game every year, or at least just go back to back with 2 franchises if you have to. But yeah, the rate they're going right now is pretty pathetic, and just in general, it's. I don't know if it's an issue of a lot of red tape, like something going on with Disney or something. Or just the fact that they've taken developers away from Battlefront 2 to focus on other projects. I would think that has something to do with it. But this is just pathetic. I mean, it's nice to see these independent developers, and I think games like free to play. And we talked about how Fortnite's free to play and everything. I know that's not independent, but just the fact that smaller games are getting so much attention, even when they don't cost a lot of money. And I think that maybe that gives a game like this a chance. It obviously won't explode because it's not a Star Wars game. I don't think it's going to have that kind of love behind it, and it's obviously not going to be the same for fans who wanted Battlefront 3 because obviously it's not Star Wars. But I do think that they could get a lot out of it, and it just might just show us maybe to an extent what we didn't get.
Yeah. It looks like Mass Effect.
Maybe in the future, EA realizes how much people want.
Which I can get behind. So.
Yeah, it does kind of have a Mass Effect.
So I'll definitely check it out. I'm down for anything sci-fi and spaceships and laser beams and explosions. And, I mean, 30v30.
It should have massive battles, epic battles. Yeah.
So I'll check it out, and hopefully you guys, too. Give it some support that it deserves. Oh, I can't speak. But...
And who knows? Maybe EA will notice and make a decent game.
Maybe
there's some not true hope right there, but why not? Just throw in some hope.
Well, let us know what you guys think down in the comments below. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up. Check out another video, and we'll talk to you guys next time.
We would be honored if you would join us. You cannot resist